Hi, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about Azure Verified Modules. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe not. So I'm going to talk very quickly, 6 minutes, about what is Azure Verified Modules and why you should care about it. But first, a little bit about me. I'm a cloud solution architect at Microsoft, all the way from Egypt. I'm a core maintainer at a project called the Arc Jumpstart project. I'm also part of the Azure Landing Zone core team. And also, I work for this little guy doing a bunch of stuff. I can change a diaper in less than 20 seconds, so I'm going to try to do the slide less than 20 seconds. Okay, so what is Azure Verified Modules? Let's first talk about the problem. So probably if you're working with Azure, maybe you're starting with ClickOps, you're clicking in the portal, and then you discover that it's not a scalable solution. So maybe let's use Bicep, let's use Terraform or something like that. Looks good. After time, you find that you got a lot of deduplications, a lot of, it's hard to scale. So you start looking on GitHub and try to find some modules to use. People already been there, done that, so maybe they already have something going on. You look at GitHub, maybe you find a module that a Microsoft FTE has done, so it looks legit. Maybe you'll use that. And then after you pick one randomly, you find out after a couple of months that it's not maintained that much, or maybe this person has moved roles or changed careers, so this module is no longer maintained. And then you have to repeat it, find another module, and change your code. So Azure Verified Modules is trying to solve that kind of problem. So what it is, it's a Microsoft initiative to build verified modules from Azure resources and pattern architectures. So Microsoft is going to build those modules, so module for Key Vault, module for storage account, and also pattern modules. So if hub and spoke module or other kind of modules we're going to talk about, they are going to be supported by Microsoft, meaning that if you have a problem in any of those modules, you're sure that someone is going to support you to fix this issue, whether it's the owner or Microsoft. And also, it's aligned with the well-architected framework. This is a group of best practices that we have across security, cost, reliability, etc. So by default, all of those modules are built with the best practices in mind. So you're sure that you're getting, you can put this into production on day one and start building your infrastructure around those modules. I've talked about what verified means. So there are a lot of specs on how those modules are built, meaning naming convention, how they are structured, how do they handle child resources, extensions of resources. I'm going to share the link. There are a huge list of specifications that we adhere to very strictly. And as I said, they're maintained and they are supported. That's the most important thing. This is a snapshot from last night. Those are the number of modules that we have published. I'm sure by the end of the day, we're going to have a little bit more. There are a lot of modules that are proposed by the community and, of course, by Microsoft employees. So if you have ideas in mind for pattern modules, you can simply go submit an issue on the GitHub repo. This is the landing page of Verified Modules. If you want to learn more, if you want to look at the specifications that we follow on how we build those modules, you're going to find a comprehensive list of those specifications. And also, what are the best practices that we're following by default in any of the modules that we're building. This is showing, for example, the Bicep module, so you can see which modules are published, the versions of those modules, and also the owners of the module. So each module has at least 2 owners for support reasons, and also there can be people from the community who are contributing to those modules, not just Microsoft FTEs. On the GitHub, so the modules are for Bicep are published on the public Bicep registry, and for Terraform, they're published as well on the Terraform registry. So if you go to the public registry, you're going to find the module. examples on how to use the modules. You're going to find the parameters list, everything you need to get going on how to integrate the modules in your code. And as you can see, we have every module has some tests, like well-architected, aligned, so we check for the best practices. So not anyone can just publish a module. It has to pass a GitHub action that checks for everything, and then this gets published automatically to the registry. Similarly, for Terraform, we're trying to align as much as possible Bicep and Terraform, but you might find some discrepancies depending on the expertise, the SMEs who are publishing in Bicep and Terraform. But eventually, we're going to have the same number of modules published in both registries. And one thing to see here is in the examples, you're not going to find some basic examples, but we try to find the most common ways that customers are using those modules. So for example, virtual machine using encryption with load balancing. So there are lots of verbose examples on how to actually use this in production. So if you want to play with it, if you want to see how it's being used, how to use the different parameters, then the examples are a very good place to start. This is the GitHub actions that I was talking about. So you can see on the left, those are all of the checks that we do. We use PS rule. I'm sure most of you have used it to check for the well-architected framework alignment. We have our own tests, and then we deploy each example to make sure that everything is working on the module, and you can just take it, put it in production, and make sure that it's going to work as expected. Of course, we don't have any demos, so only slides. So what I've done is I've taken a demo, put it on a slide so that I can show you how it's going to look like. So what I'm trying to do here is use AVM to create a storage account with private endpoint. So I'll show you how it looks like without it, and then how it looks like with AVM. So this is just creating private DNS zone, managed identity, things that I'm going to need. Also, I'm going to assign a role definition to a managed identity. So basic stuff. For the storage account itself, you can see that I need to create a storage account. Then I need to create another resource for the role assignment, then another resource for the private endpoint. So from a readability perspective, if code gets bigger, it might not be the best thing in the world. With AVM, again, the basic stuff, managed identity, DNS zone. But when I'm using the storage account module, you can see that everything is contained without the module. So the role assignment is declared within the module. I don't need to create a different resource. The private endpoint is within the module. Even diagnostic settings, other stuff, child resources, everything is just contained within this module. So from a readability perspective, it's much cleaner. There is, of course, IntelliSense. So as you create the module, you're going to find VS Code helping you with that. So it's much more readable, much more concise, much more easier to consume than just creating multiple resources for the same purpose. The last thing, contribution. So as I said, we're doing Bicep and Terraform at the moment. The owner of one module has to be a Microsoft FTE, but anyone from the community can submit a suggestion for a module and work with the Microsoft FTE to build the module. So this is what you need to do in order to start authoring a module. This is found on the website, aka.ms/avm. We have guidance on how to set up your local CI environment, what are the specs you need to look at, what you need to do. Someone is going to be all the way with you to help you build the module, test it, make sure that it's fine, and then all the way to publishing it in the public registry of Bicep or Terraform. And that was it. So if you have any question, please reach out to me after the session. Thank you.